Good morning, everyone. We are now live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and we are actually on Clubhouse as well. But I'm getting ready to shut the audio off on Clubhouse. Come on over to YouTube. This is where we are. The link is at the top of the page and in the chat. See you over on YouTube. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get started here. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, a better way to eliminate debt. And P.I.L.L stands for prepayment of principal, isolating the principal amount, leverage, and liquidity. And we're here to bring you all the good news, all the good information about how money actually works. But today, we have something special for you today. We're going to be going over some of the things you need to know to handle I.R.S. debt. Do you owe the I.R.S? I mean, listen, we're coming up on that time of the year where we're getting ready to do our taxes. And some of us will find ourselves in the position that we owe money, or some of us already owe money. And let's start. Now, I'm going to show you how you can get rid of that debt. But first of all, let's deal with some of the things that we can do with the I.R.S. Now, if I'm saying something that you resonate with, come on in to the show. Hit that link that you see in the chat. And then you'll be able to join us live on the show. You don't have to be on camera, but at least you'll be able to talk back to us and say, listen, this has been my experience, and somebody can learn from your experience. Okay. But first of all, let us talk about what is important. When you have an issue with the I.R.S., number one, communicate. Let me tell you something about the I.R.S. I think people have an idea that the I.R.S. is something or somebody to be afraid of. Listen, folks, they give you all of the rules. They tell you everything that you need to know. And I'm telling you, if you find yourself, you get a letter from the I.R.S., don't ignore it. Oh, please, do not ignore your letter. And I mean, listen, and this could probably apply to a tax situation in other countries as well. Okay? There may be something similar in your country. So take some notes if you're joining us from another country and you happen to owe taxes. They may have something similar in your country. Just check it out. All right. So first of all, communicate. As soon as you get that letter, call the number on the letter. And we're going to give you some things to talk about or to be that you can engage in conversation with, and things that you can study. All right. And so by talking to the I.R.S., you are already 3 miles ahead. The main reason why most people get into trouble and stay in trouble is because they ignore the letters and they do not call. They don't call. All right. So here's what we're going to do. All right. So first of all, let me share this. We're going to go over some notes here. And I'm going to share my screen with you. And I just got some notes. Okay. I just got some notes. And this one is so very important. Now, some of the other things we're going to have to do first, but I wanted to start here because most people are unaware of this fact. The I.R.S. has 10 years, excuse me, the I.R.S. has 10 years from the date your tax was assessed to collect the tax and any associated penalties and interest from you. This period is called the collection period. It is the statute of expiration date. The statute of expiration date, 10 years. Now, keep this in mind, ladies and gentlemen. So you may need to call your tax professional to get more information. I'm going to tell you right now, I am not a tax expert. I am not giving tax advice. I'm just telling you some of the things that I've researched on the internet and I'm sharing with you. So make sure you call your tax person, your tax professional, and clear all of this information and make sure it's going to work for you. But let me tell you what I found out. Can I tell you what I found? Even though I'm not a tax professional and I don't even pretend to be one on this show or any other, okay? We're going to go over a thing called offer and compromise. Offer and compromise, okay? Let me tell you, if you go through that process of offer and compromise, you need to read it first because your time, the 10 years starts over every time you go through an offer and compromise. Now, keep this in mind. If you don't want your time to start over, then watch out for that offer and compromise, because as soon as you do that, the 10 years starts over. And I'm telling you, there is a situation, we're going to talk about it. There's a situation where if you string this thing out for 10 years, then they can't collect from you anymore. That's what that means. Now, Don, why would I do that? I'm not saying this is something this is a strategy. I'm just telling you that they have 10 years to collect. And we're going to go over some of those things and keep this in mind, because we're going to go back to this situation. And if you have some questions, put it in the chat. Come to the studio audience. We would love to talk to you about some of this. Now, here is the first one we're going to talk about. But remember, we're going to go back to the IRS has 10 years to collect from you. And here's the first thing you need to know. If you can't pay your tax debt immediately, you might qualify for an installment agreement with the IRS. Now, when you're talking to them, here's what you need to do. All right. And like I said, this is stuff that I've studied. I am not a tax expert, but here's some of the things that I found out you need to do. Make sure you have it well documented how much money you are making, because they're going to ask you, how much money are you making? All right. That's number one. And any information they collect from you, they can use against you. So be careful. There are certain questions that you don't need to answer, like where is your bank account? You don't need to answer that. Where is your bank? You don't need to answer that. Okay. And if you do have to pay the IRS, you can use a credit card or a money order. Don't write a check. Use a credit card or a money order. Don't write a check. All right. Because if they have access to your checking account and you mess up, they can seize your whole checking account, hold up all of your money, all your bills will be late. They'll all the checks that you've written to pay bills, your money has been frozen. Those checks will bounce and you will get those penalties. So don't give the IRS your checking account information. Okay, I'm just letting you know that. All right, now let's talk about this installment agreement, because make sure you have all of your income, all right, documented, and all of your bills documented. I mean, all of them, everything you pay, your kids' lunches, the money that you pay for your TV, the money that you pay for your cell phone, the money that you pay for rent or mortgage, your insurances. Write it all down, because that's going to be important, because no matter how much tax you owe, they can't make you pay more money than you have. Can I repeat that? They can't make you pay more money than you have if you are communicating with the IRS. Communication is key. All right. So make sure you're communicating, and make sure you write down everything. Now, when you're doing this, all right. So now when you're looking at the installment agreement, this allows you to pay your debt over time. The IRS offers various types of installment plans, including short-term and long-term agreements. Did you hear what I just said? Did you hear what I just said? Short-term and long-term. Let's just say that the agreement, all right, so with the amount of money that you have to work with, they can still ask you to pay. But if the amount that you have left over is so little, then you can get into a long-term agreement. So, Don, what happens when I agree to pay the IRS? When I agree to pay the IRS and the amount that I owe, I can't finish in 10 years. What do you think happens? What do you think happens if the tiny agreement that you settle on can't be paid off in 10 years? Because every month you're hit with interest and penalties. Did you hear what I just said? You're hit with interest and penalties. So what if the little amount that you can pay cannot pay off in 10 years? Now we go back to the first point. The IRS generally has 10 years from the date of. Now you can ask them about this. You can even ask them about this, and they have to tell you from the date of your tax was assessed, you're to collect the tax and any associated penalties and interest from you. This is called the collection period. Okay, the collection period. So, and when that expires, they can no longer collect those taxes from you. Did you know that? Did you know that? You need to check into this and listen, ask all of the questions associated with it, and take the information I'm sharing with you and take it to your tax professional and make sure you get all the advice around all of this. All right. So now here's where we're going next. You get to long-term. Now, I always like long-term stuff. All right. I always like long-term stuff. Now, when you make that agreement, just know that if you qualify for a tax refund, your tax refund will go to the IRS. Your federal tax refund, if you owe taxes, and especially if you've entered into an agreement, your tax refund will go to the IRS. So if you're used to getting a large tax refund, you want to be careful so that talk to your tax person, and make sure that you get to use your money throughout the year and that you have a very small tax return. If you're getting a large tax return, that is because you're having too much taken out. And what you're doing is letting the government use your money interest-free all year long, and then they give it back to you. So lower the amount that they are able to take out of your check so that you owe a small amount, or you get a tiny tax return. Does this make sense, everybody? All right. Listen, if what I've said so far makes sense, put it in the chat. All right. Say yes or no. If what I'm talking about makes sense so far, put a yes or a no in there so I'll know to go on to the next thing. And don't forget, please come into the show. In fact, I listen, let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can do to encourage you to come into the show today. Okay. I'd like to put my book on the screen right now. Okay. We're going to put my book on the screen right now. Tank says yes. So I'm going to put my book on the screen, and I'm going to give away 2 books And if you're in the US, I will pay the shipping. This is a $50 book, okay? $49.95 or whatever we sell it for on Amazon, okay? And we're going to give away 2 of them for the first 2 people who come in live and ask a question or make a comment about taxes or any other subject for that matter, okay? So I'm going to give away 2 books today. If you're in the US, I will pay the shipping. If you're outside the US, you have to pay the shipping. Okay? Fair enough? Fair enough. Okay, so now back to the agreement. So I'm waiting for people to come in. Click that link in the comment section. Come in, ask your questions, and get a book. All right, so we're going to send that out to you. All right, so now what is the next one? Here's the thing I was talking about. Offer in compromise, OIC. This is an agreement between you and the IRS that settles your tax liabilities for less than the full amount owed. Okay? So now, let's just say now, there are some people out there. I'm not saying it's you, but there are some people out there that the tax in question is 5 years old. The tax in question is 5 years old. Okay. All right. Pretty girl says, can you repeat what you said about not making enough to pay your tax debt when it comes to paying it back? Okay. All right. Let's go over that part again. All right. Before we go on offer and compromise. When you're dealing with the IRS, they can't get more money out of you than you can afford to pay. They have to take a look at everything you owe to keep your household running. Let's say you have tuition for your kid's school. They're not going to ask you, if your kid goes to private school, they can't ask you to take your kid out of private school, put your kid in public school so that you can pay the IRS. They can't do that. They have to take a look at how much you owe. So if you take a look at how much you're making and how much you owe, all right, then you may have a little bit of money left over. Okay, you may have a little bit of money left over, and your payment agreement has to be in line with what you can afford to pay. Okay, so if they want to take out of you $1,000 a month, but you only have $500 left over after all your bills are paid, then they can only set up a payment agreement for within that $500 window. And that's up to negotiation. All right. So be ready to negotiate so that you can keep as much as your $500 as you possibly can, because I guarantee you they can't charge you $1,000 if you don't have $1,000 a month. Are you hearing me? All right. Does that make sense? Okay, so pretty good. Oh, listen, folks. Here comes the question. Pretty good. I wish you could come on stage. All right, so you can get your free book. So in the 10-year time frame, I don't make enough to pay. Does that clear the debt? They cannot, after 10 years, when this 10 years expires, they can't collect that debt anymore. Look it up for yourself. Okay. All right, so let me see if I can go online. Let me see if I can pull that up for you. And let's see. Okay, I.R.S. Okay, and statute. Okay, statute. Statute. Okay, expiration. All right, date. Okay, let me see if I can find that again. Oh, here it is. All right, here it is. All right. Oh, okay. That is from the IRS. Okay. Okay. Wait a second here. Oh man, I messed it up. I messed it up. Doggone it. But listen, folks, you can Google this. Okay, statute expiration date. Google it. All right, and it's there. It's there. And then also talk to your tax professional about this so that you can know what that you can. If that debt is 10 years old, they can't collect it after 10 years. So you can actually ask them, what is my expiration date on this? And they have to tell you. All right. So listen, I got the heat on in my office. I forgot to turn it off. I turned the heat on just to get it warmed up, but I forgot to turn it off. So give me just a second. All right, I'm back. All right, so let's go down. Let's get into this. We talked about the installment agreement. Pretty girl, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. All right, offering compromise. Here we go. This is an agreement between you and the IRS that settles your tax liabilities for less than the amount owed. It's an option for taxpayers who can't pay their full liability, or doing so creates financial hardship. See, they can't, if you're in financial hardship, listen, they can't do anything that puts you in worse financial hardship. Are you hearing me? Okay. The IRS considers your ability to pay, income, expenses, and asset equity. So you need to take a look at all of that. Okay. You need to take a look at all of that. So be careful, your asset equity, because you need to talk to your tax professional and see what this means here. Your asset equity right here, this part right here. So I have an idea what that means. All right. But you want to talk to your tax professional and see if they can actually make you sell stuff to pay off your taxes. So you want to take a look at that. Okay. Yeti Thomas says, question. Okay. What question do you have? What question do you have, Yeti? Come on. Listen, and you can ask your question live. Click the link, follow the instructions, ask your question live, and get a book, or type it in the comment section. All right. So now I need to go over this part. With you so we can break this down. It's an option for taxpayers who can't pay their full tax liability, or doing so creates financial hardship. So you can get so you can settle for less than what you owe when you do this. You can settle for less than what you owe when you do this. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? If the taxes in question are 5 years old, that means you have 5 years until they can't collect anymore. But once you do offering compromise, that clock starts over. Okay. Can I listen? I just need to know if you heard that. Put start over in the chat if you heard me. Put start over in the comment section if you heard what I said. If you do offering compromise and you owe and you settle for less, okay, for less, make sure you can pay it off in a short period of time. Because if you cannot, then that 10 years that they have to collect from you starts over every time you do an offering compromise. Okay, read the paperwork. Brenda Jackson says start over. Pretty girl says start over. Okay, you don't want it to start over if you need more time and if you can stretch that baby out. Okay, now why would anybody do that? Okay, so let me give you an example. You owe X amount of dollars. Okay, you owe X amount of dollars. And I'm gonna put my calculator on the screen. Okay, I owe 50. Let's say you owe $50,000 in taxes. Okay, and you have, because of how much you make, they're going to set you up on a payment plan where you pay $100 a month. I'm just making up some numbers. $100 a month. Okay, $100 a month. Okay, and in 10 years, all right, 10 years, That's 120 months. 120 months times $100. Okay, that's $12,000. Okay, that's $12,000. So if you owe 50,000, you're getting hit with taxes. I'm sorry, with interest and penalties. But if your payment is around $100 a month, you can stretch that out for 10 years. You're only going to pay back $12,000 and then you're done. Does that make sense, everybody? If that makes sense, put that in the chat. Say, makes sense, Don. Makes sense, Don. Put that in the chat. Put that in there. It makes sense. Why, if I got a small payment, all right, and I'm making my payment every single month because I'm doing the best I can do. Okay. Because every now and then you got to stay in touch with them, because if you start making more money, then your payment has to increase. Your payment will increase if you start making more money. But just in case, watch this. Even though you're making more money, if that your payment increases, it still won't pay off the tax plus the penalties and the interest. Okay? Now, so remember that. Do some math, ladies and gentlemen. Talk to the IRS. The rules make sense. Okay? So now, all right, Tank says makes sense. Okay? All right, now I need you to see this one. Okay? You thought I was kidding. I need you to look up this one. Put it in your notes. I need you to look up this one. Currently not collectible status. Currently not collectible status. Did you know the IRS has a status like this? But you can only get this status if you are communicating with the IRS. Okay? Let's read that. If you can prove to the IRS that you are unable to pay your tax debt due to financial hardship, your account may be placed in CNC status. Oh my goodness. Oh, listen, this is huge. I need you all to type into the chat CNC status. CNC status. Oh, by the way, listen, if this is good information, you all need to be click that thumbs up and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And listen, you can even partner with us. All right. All right. CNC status. I see it. So listen, folks, is this good information? Did you know about CNC status? Did you know about it? This one is huge. So let's say you're in CNC status for a year. Okay, for a year, maybe 2 years. I don't know. All right. Maybe you're in that for a year or two. But guess what? That's going to be taken off the 10 years that they can collect from you. And what if they don't even start the process? They don't even send you a letter until you're 5 years in. Are you getting what I'm talking about? Once the tax was due, they have to start the 10 years from there. Okay? Not from the time they contact you, but from the time the tax was due. All right? Now keep that in mind. All right. So if you can prove it, all right, then they can put you in CNC status. Now, while this doesn't eliminate the debt, but it pauses collection actions. You don't get phone calls. You don't have to worry about it. Now, I don't know what that does for your interest and your penalties. My guess is they continue to pile up. But if you can't pay, you can't pay. Okay? If you can't pay, you can't pay. This is why if you get a letter from the IRS, I'm telling you, I've had conversations with people from the IRS because I received a letter and they were nice as pie. Some of them. Okay? Some of them. So if you call And it says, okay, now listen, let me tell you something. You get a letter, okay, that's dated February 12, okay, and you call them the same day. Oh man, they love that. They love that. But if you get a letter February 12, and then you get another letter the next quarter, and another letter the next quarter, and another letter, and then you finally get that big old letter says, "Listen, if you don't contact us, we're going to seize your assets." Now you try to talk to them. Yeah, they're not as nice. I'm just telling you, they're not as nice. But give them a call as soon as you get that letter. I'm telling. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Has anybody ever gotten a letter from the IRS and called them right away? And were they nice? Does anybody have that situation? Call them. Put a yes or a no. Put a yes or a no. All right. And some of you may not want to say, I don't care. You know, me. I've owed taxes before. And let me tell you, the reason why I'm doing this show is because I've owed taxes like that, and I didn't have all the money to pay. And a lot of the stuff that I'm telling you about, I've actually had personal association with. I've gone through this myself. All right. So I'm telling you what I know on a lot of this stuff, because, you know, I had taxes that I couldn't pay. I entered into a payment agreement because it's what I could afford to pay at the time. This was before I started the business, though. You know, I was still working. You know, I wasn't making a whole lot of money back then. All right, and so I had to go through this, and by doing some study, I found out that if you call them, they're pretty nice. And they're going to ask you all these questions. And the more questions you ask, the more information you get. And I found out about CNC status. I found out from the IRS that they only have 10 years. Okay. And I got a tiny payment. So I said, well, what if I can't pay off in the tiny, and they were kind of reluctant to tell me, but I kept asking, kept pressing. What if I can't pay it off in that amount of time? And it says, this goes away. This goes away. I said, what is that date exactly? And I put it on my calendar. I put it on my calendar. Are you hearing me? Man, oh man. Listen, if you're enjoying this information, can you put some fire emojis in the chat or something? I just need to know if you're liking it. Okay. All right. So you want to pause the collection if you can get into CNC status. Okay. And that CNC, oh, Brenda says she's loving it. Brenda says she's loving it. Okay. So now this penalty abatement, let's take a look at penalty abatement. Penalty abatement. In some cases, the IRS may provide relief from penalties if you can show reasonable cause for failure to meet tax obligations. Do you know that somebody may have a long-term illness? Long-term illness? And I mean, they're just so sick that they can't take care of their bills. They can't take care of the taxes, none of this stuff. But if you can show good reason, you still owe the tax. But you may get relief from the penalties. So there's penalties and interest. Penalties and interest on that, which means they're tacking on a lot every single month. But maybe, just maybe, if you have a good enough reason, you can get the penalties taken off. Did you guys know that? Listen, this stuff is valuable information. Okay? So let's talk about that. So let's see. This doesn't eliminate your tax debt, but but it can reduce the overall amount owed if we can just get rid of those penalties. I just take care of my tax and the interest. Okay, take care of my tax and the interest. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to check on. All right, let me see here. Let me check on our time. We've been here 37 minutes. 37 minutes so far. Check for tax code changes. Okay. Now, I would definitely talk to my tax professional on this. Okay. Keep in mind. Oh, by the way, when you're doing all of this and you get on one of these programs, make sure you don't get further behind after you make a deal with them, or all bets could be off. Okay. Valerie Robinson says, this is good stuff, Don. Valerie, I love you. Where have you been? I haven't seen you in a while. Come on, Valerie. Come on. I love it. Come on. So if you make a deal with them and you're making a payment, you can't get further behind on your taxes. So make sure you're getting with a good tax person. Okay. And your tax people who can help you with taxes are like any other profession, like lawyers or doctors. Okay. You have a heart condition. You want to see a heart doctor. You don't want to see a podiatrist. Are you hearing where I'm going with this? If you have a tax situation and you have a certain type of business, find a tax person that knows about that kind of business, like real estate. Okay. So if you have a real estate business, you want a tax professional that knows about real estate. All right. If you have a child care business or whatever kind of business, then or a trucking business, now you want to find somebody who knows about trucking and can help you lower your tax burden and make sure your taxes are done on time. Okay. So once you get into an agreement, you could violate the agreement if you get behind on your taxes. Okay. Keep that in mind. All right. Okay. So did you get the penalty abatement? Sometimes you can get that penalty done. And then the tax code. Check on the tax code. Maybe things change. Sometimes changes in tax law can affect the amount you owe. It could lower the amount that you owe. Now I'm telling you, if it agrees, okay, if it turns out that the new tax law, if the new tax law that you found out about increases the amount that you owe, please don't call them. Stay in contact with them about what you know, about what you're already doing. This reminds me of another thing. Okay, write it down. I'll probably get you to put this in the chat. Okay. Answer the questions asked. Okay, so I'm going to ask a question and I want to see if somebody will answer the question properly. And here's the question. Do you have the time? I'm looking for an answer from you. Do you have the time? What is the answer to my question? Somebody put that in the comment section and I'm going to wait for it. The question is, do you have the time? And I'm looking for an answer. I'm going to sit here until I get the answer. Okay. Somebody put the answer in. Do you have the time? Somebody asked you, do you have the time? What answer do you give? All right. I'm looking. Nobody's typing. Nobody wants to type anything. Listen, this is fun. Go ahead. Listen, this is a safe space. Okay. All right. Brenda Jackson says, here's the answer to the question. Do you have the time? The answer is yes. That is the right answer. Brenda, come on, girl. The answer is yes. Somebody's going to say, oh, yeah, the time is, let me see, look at my watch. It's 9:12. No, they didn't ask you what time it was. They asked you, do you have the time? And yes, I do have the time. So when you're talking to the IRS, answer the questions asked. If it's a yes or no question, answer yes or no. Do not explain why it's yes or no. And let me tell you why. Because they can't unhear what you've said. That's right, Valerie. Do you have the time? Yes. Valerie, I didn't know you were always listening. I appreciate that. Okay? I appreciate that. Do you have the time? Yes. So when they ask you a question, answer the questions asked. And if they need more information, let them ask for it because they can't unhear what you've said. And sometimes we think we're helping ourselves by giving more information when in fact they start out with this sentence. This is an attempt to collect a debt. Are you hearing me? This is an attempt to collect a debt, and any information we are able to ascertain will be used in the collection of that debt. So please, don't put bullets in their gun by answering questions, by volunteering information. Please don't do it. Okay, here we go. Be honest. Like somebody told me, Don, you need to always tell the truth, but don't always be telling it. Meaning, tell the truth, but don't give more information that you need to give. Come on. All right. So we talked, we asked and answered. Okay, that sounds like a lawyer. That sounds like a lawyer. Come on, Valerie. I love it. Okay, what do we have here now? Let's take a look. All right. Ensure correct calculation. This is crucial. It's crucial to verify that the IRS calculations of your debt is correct. Errors can occur, and you might end up paying more than you owe. Tank says don't offer information. You're right, Tank. So if you get a letter from the IRS, make sure you're calling them. Make sure you keep your records, okay? Because there could be a mistake. And just because you have good records, you can clear up that mistake very easily and owe nothing. In fact, could be that they owe you money. Okay, so stay on top of this, folks. I hope some of this stuff that we went over, makes sense to you, and hopefully, some of it was new. And because what we want to provide here at the P.I.L.L method is information that you've never heard before, but it is valid, it is truthful, and it is powerful to put you in a better position. So now we're going to get into paying off the debt. But before we do that, we're going to take a little break and we're going to hear from Dr. Eric Thomas, and we're going to talk about some of the things that we're doing here with the P.I.L.L method. Okay. All right. Let's take a little break.
Listen to me, y'all. But one of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down for my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So let's keep that in mind. All right. So let's talk about this for just a minute. Eric Thomas. All right. The number one motivational speaker in the country used the P.I.L.L method to pay off his debt, to pay off his mortgage. Now, here's the thing. The P.I.L.L method doesn't just pay off mortgages. Did you know people put in their I.R.S. debt into our AI system, our artificially intelligent cloud-based computing system? Yeah, I.R.S. debt goes in there. Your mortgage can go in there. Your car loan can go in there. Your credit cards can go in there. You can put it all in, and we're going to give you not only the technology, but you're able to sit down with a certified P.I.L.L method coach and come up with strategies that are only practiced here at the P.I.L.L method. Yes, there are strategies that we employ that Dave Ramsey doesn't talk about, Susie Orman doesn't talk about. You can't get this on the internet. You can't get it anywhere else because we own the copyright to this information. We own the copyright to this information. That's why you're not hearing it anywhere else. You hear it here at the P.I.L.L method. So there's no other program out there. And let me tell you, now that I'm on this subject, listen, I've got over 500 videos out there now. Do you know other people are starting to watch these videos? And guess what? Some of the videos I'm seeing online beginning to sound more and more like the P.I.L.L method. What? Yes. They're trying to copy me, but they make little changes. They make little changes. So did you know, this is funny. This is funny. There was a new startup company starting up, and they had a program that they could manage debt, and they brought in a trainer to train them, all right, on that debt. It just so happens that somebody who was using the P.I.L.L method, okay, was interested in that company and some of the other things that they offered. And this person that was doing the training on the debt used a slideshow. Do you know that they copied my slideshow slide for slide, and all they did was change the colors? I mean, the wording was exactly the same. Everything was the same, except the colors. I had to contact my lawyer, because I have somebody who handles my my copyright stuff, and the P.I.L.L method is a registered trademark. So I contacted that lawyer and says, listen, here's all the stuff. Can you handle this for me? Do you know they had to shut that down? They could not use that information because it was unique to the P.I.L.L method, and they couldn't find it anywhere else. So they can't say, I didn't get it from Don, I got it over here. I even showed when we created the slideshow, the month, day, and year we created that slideshow. Okay, so anyway, that's kind of what I'm trying to tell you is more and more people are trying to copy what we're doing, and they're saying they can do the same thing. I guarantee you they cannot. I guarantee you they cannot. And I'll prove it to you. Somebody says, oh, Don, I met somebody else that can do what you do. Yeah, compare. Compare. I'll go heads up against anybody that says you compare it, and we'll see if they're just copying. Is it live or is it Memorex? We'll be able to tell you. All right, folks. So remember, get a savings and earnings report. Get a savings and earnings report. Let me put that on the screen for you, okay? Because this is very important. Here's your first Here's the first thing you're going to do is scroll down on ice10k.com, ice10k.com, scroll down, all right, and click on get a savings and earnings report and get it for free. Get a free savings and earnings report. Do that. Okay. Know when you can be debt free on your mortgage, your I.R.S. debt, and everything else. Well, I'm going to give you some good tips on how to get rid of I.R.S. debt. Also, there's a button on that same information, ice10k.com, on getting my book. All right. So you want to get the book, all right, because that starts teaching you about the mindset shift and changes you need to get out of that old way of thinking into the new P.I.L.L method way of thinking. It's not a how-to book. My book is not a how-to book. My book is a paradigm shifting book so that you can start thinking about debt a new and better way. Okay? So get the book, and it gives you the tools you need, outlines the tools you need to eliminate all of your debt in about 7 years. Also, become an affiliate. Sign up to become an affiliate. And every week we send out affiliate letters. So you won't get anything right away. As soon as you sign up to be an affiliate, you won't get anything right away, but you will get a letter, all right, that states that here are some instructions on what an affiliate does and how they can make money. So just fill this out, name, phone number, all right, email, and how you want to get paid. There you go. All right. Thank you, Valerie. I appreciate it. All right. There. So do that. So if you, oh, by the way, if you see anybody out there, that's doing something that they shouldn't do, you know my information. If you see anybody trying to copy it, please let me know. Let me know. Okay. All right. Because, we worked hard on this information. We want to protect it. We want to make sure people are getting good information. I don't mind if people are getting the good information for a good reason. And if you're getting the good information for a good reason, that means they contacted me first and got permission. Does that make sense to you? Okay. All right. So let's make sure you do that. All right. Go to visit ice10k.com to start the process. Let's get back to some of the things you can do to help you to manage the I.R.S. debt. And the first thing I want to talk about is interest and penalties. Interest and penalties on your I.R.S. debt. And let's see how we can handle that. I need you to know that if you have debt with the I.R.S., you may have several ways to satisfy that debt other than out of your budget, directly out of your budget every month, out of the money that you're making from your jobs. Okay? The I.R.S. just wants to get paid. Once you go through the process of figuring out how much you owe, figuring out what your payment agreement can be, figuring out if you can lower the amount that you owe, if you can get rid of some of go through all the steps that we showed you. This meeting is going to stay up forever. You can go back through and see all the points that we made. Let's say you get your debt down to a manageable place, and you have a credit card you can put this on. That's $25,000, maybe one or two credit cards. But Don, I'm going to owe interest on the cards. Listen, pay off that I.R.S., get them out of your hair, even if you got to use a credit card, because now when you add up the interest plus the penalties, you're going to be better off. And I'm telling you, you put this on your card, then you're going to be able to manage that a lot better, because now you're putting it on what's called revolving debt, and you can manage that without having to deal with the I.R.S. if you can pay them off. Okay. Yes, The IRS will accept credit cards for payment. Yes, they will. Okay? And put that in your P.I.L.L method program, and then we can save you even more interest by putting that in your P.I.L.L method program. Now, the interest that you'll pay on the credit card will be less than the interest on the IRS debt, plus when you add in their penalties every month. Right. And I mean a lot less than the penalties and interest. We're going to show you how you can pay this off. Okay. Let me give you an example. All right. The Tank says, yes, yes, yes. Get them out of your face. All right. So let's just say, I got this. I'm going to put in 120 months for 10 years. And IRS, let's just say, because I think what they do is whatever the Fed rate is plus 3% or something like that. Look up the rules. Okay. So we're going to take a look and see, let's say maybe their interest rate is like 9%. I don't know. All right. Let's say it's about 9% on $25,000 and 120 months. That's 10 years. Okay. So the interest paid on that, interest and penalties, I'm just guessing would be around $13,000 for a total of $38,000. All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look here. All right. So once you get this going, let me get rid of these ads because they're distracting. Okay, get rid of the ads. All right. So now your payment on this is $316.69. That's what the IRS wants every month. And here's what I suggest. If you have a payment agreement with the IRS, set it up, okay, open up a bank account at a bank that's not the bank you pay bills with. Okay, did you hear what I just said? Okay, if you pay your bills at Wells Fargo, make sure you set up the bank account that's paying the IRS at Chase, and that's the only thing you have at that bank is at Chase account. At Chase is that one account, or your credit union. Okay, do not. Oh man, can I repeat that? Can I say it loud and long enough? Do not set up your payment account at any bank where all your other money is, because if they find out and you fall into deeper trouble somehow, maybe it's not even your fault. They can listen. They're going to send a letter to that bank and says, if you own any accounts, the bank has to turn over that information to the IRS, and they're going to grab those accounts quicker than you can spit. I'm just telling you. So any account, anytime you pay in the IRS, make sure that the only account at that institution is the account you set up to pay the IRS. All right. Does that make sense to you all? Okay. All right. All right. So let's put that in the chat. One account, one bank. Let's put that in the chat. I don't even know if you're listening to me. One account, one bank. Let's write it in. Okay. One account for the IRS at one bank or credit union. And then that's the only thing that you have there. All right. Yep. Tank says, yep, work smarter, not harder. I'm just letting you know. Okay. So now we know what our payment is, but out of that payment, $129.19 goes to principal. $187 of that payment is interest. Do you see that? What was our payment again? Our payment is $316.69. But this is what you're paying the IRS back with. Okay. When you make a payment with the IRS, make sure you're getting your statements from the IRS and look at how much of that money you paid goes to the principal or the tax owed, how much went to interest and how much went to penalties out of your money. You want to know that. You want to know that. Does this make sense? You want to know that. So you want to know that, man, out of that money, this is what I'm paying the IRS back with, because they subtract that from the $129.19 from what you owe. Now you owe $24,870.81 for them to charge you interest and penalties on the $28,000 that you owe. Thank you, Valerie. Valerie's, she's following the instructions. One account, one bank. One account, one bank. Pay the IRS out of that account at that bank. Don't put any of your other monies at that bank. Okay? There you go. Because what they're not going to do is send a blanket letter to all the banks in the area trying to find your other accounts. They're not going to do that. But let me ask you. Let me tell you something. If they ask you, you tell them, this is the only bank I'm willing to talk about. If they ask you, are there any other bank? Listen, they're going to ask you. It is not required that you tell them. You don't have to lie to them at all. Always tell the truth. But here's the truth of the matter. This is the only bank and bank account I'm willing to talk about. So do you have any other bank accounts? This is the only bank and bank account I'm willing to talk about. Can we move on, please? Oh boy, I'm just here to help. I'm just here to help, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just here to help. Okay, so now let's just say you make this payment. You make this payment to the IRS, all right? And in the very first payment you make, and next month's payment, okay, the amount that would go to principal is $130.16. Did you realize if you pay them that early, you can send money in early to the IRS. Did you know that? They're looking for a certain amount. But if you pay them on your own schedule instead of their schedule, guess what? You give them this $130 on their schedule, they get to charge you interest and penalties. Did you hear what I said? If you give them this $130 on their schedule, they get to charge you interest and penalties, $186.53. But if you give them this $130 on your own schedule, you don't have to pay this. This money goes directly to how much you owe. You owe this now in the first month, and your next payment to the IRS is on line 3 of their amortization schedule. Listen, don't ask them for an amortization schedule. They can't give you one. Okay, because it's about interest and penalties. You want to take a look at your statement from them to figure out what the interest and penalties are, and then you can, with our help, we'll give you an approximate number that we will represent as an interest rate. We're going to take a look at the interest and the penalties, and then we're going to put it in our program as an approximate interest rate, because our program does not do interest and penalties. It only does interest. Does that make sense? So we're going to come up with a number that's close to the interest and penalties you're paying, because you have provided us a statement which will allow us to do the math to come up with that for you. Sound good? There you go. So now when you give them this money early, you drop down to the next line. All right. And you just saved interest and penalties of $186.53. So what you want to do, ladies and gentlemen, is find out a better way to pay them where you don't have to worry about the interest and penalties. Let's just say I can put this on a credit card. All right. Go ahead and put the words credit card in the chat. We could put this on a credit card, CRD. All right. I might have a line of credit, an equity line of credit. I might have an equity line of credit, a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, or HELOC. I can use that money to pay back the IRS. All right. And now you can put that into the P.I.L.L method as well, and we'll pay that off early, and you won't pay near as much interest as they were looking for, not near as much. Okay. Plus, can anybody tell me the other benefit of interest that's charged on a home equity line of credit? Can anybody give me a benefit to the interest that's being charged, the amount of interest that you will pay? You're going to pay some interest, but there's a particular benefit that you can get for the interest you pay on your home equity line of credit. Does anybody know? Okay, I'm looking. Anybody know? Okay, somebody might. Nope. It's not the credit card that comes with it, because there's a credit card that comes with it. But here's the benefit. Because your home equity line of credit is a second mortgage, that is mortgage interest, and it could be tax deductible. Whereas the interest on your credit card, even though you're going to pay less than what the credit card wants, your interest on the credit card is not tax deductible, but your interest on your home equity line of credit could be tax deductible. All right. What if you have a 401k and your system will allow you to borrow money from your 401k? Let me tell you how that works. If you borrow money from your 401k to pay off your tax burden, you can have the option of paying it back or not paying it back. If you take it out early, then you're going to have some taxes to pay on that. Okay? But it will probably be way less than the taxes and penalties that they were charging you. Not only that, okay, but you'll be done with them. Now, there are a lot of people who say, no, don't mess with your retirement funds. Don't mess with your retirement funds. Okay. So here's what you could do. When you set up your payment with the I.R.S, did you know that your payment to pay back, you can pay back your 401k with interest. You can pay back your 401k with interest. When you pay back your 401k, who is getting the interest money? When you pay back your 401k with interest, who's getting the interest money? You are. You're paying yourself interest when you do that. And the because you're in that 401k account, then that interest money that you're paying yourself, then they have to start paying you interest on the interest that you're putting it back into that account. Keep that in mind. Okay? Keep that in mind. So credit cards is one way. Line of credit is another way. 401k is another way. Listen, folks, does anybody that's listening to me right now, okay, watching this program, do you have any other tips and tricks that we can benefit from? All right, when it comes to I.R.S. debt. And besides, you know what? I haven't given out any books today. Listen, are you not seeing that link that you can click on to come in here and give your tips and tricks and get your I.R.S. Get a free book from me. All right, the link is there. I'm looking at it. I'm even watching myself on YouTube right now. Okay, all right. Join the P.I.L.L Method channel. Come on. You can talk to me. All right. And there it is in the comment section again. Click on that link, come in and talk to me. And I would love it if you could come on camera, but you don't have to. You can just do the audio portion. Do you have any tips and tricks that you can help other people out with, something that you've dealt with or you know somebody who's dealt with it? In fact, you can come on and start with, I'm asking for a friend. You can come in with that. Okay. Listen, I got this information from a friend. All right. And we'll accept that. Ruby, won't we? Ruby, we'll accept that, won't we? We'll accept that. Okay. Oh my goodness. Valerie, we'll accept that, won't we? All right. Okay. So no other tips and tricks. All right. So now when we take a look at this thing, I need to show you something here. What we're taking a look at is, all right, I'm going to pull this up. Boom. So that we can get into this thing and take a look at all the things that we are trying to do here with this IRS debt. Okay. The IRS debt. All right. So we're going to pull up a demo here and talk about what we could do about it. I'm going to slide that over. Okay. Boom. Here it is. All right. Here is the opportunity cost calculator. All right. Opportunity cost calculator and years to pay off. Okay. We're going to let me go to settings and we're going to reset the account. Okay. I'm going to put in, let me see. Let me see here. Let's see, checking and savings method number 2. Let me put this one in. Okay. And then we're going to show you, I'm going to take a look at, the bills here. Okay. And the accounts. So we have a checking, we got a savings, we got an auto loan, we got a master card, we got a signature loan. Okay. And we've got a mortgage. All right. So here's what you need to know, whatever debts you have in here. Okay. So what we're going to do is change this from start balance is 2,400. Let's make it 24,000. Okay. We'll make it 24,000. All right. And that's 17.9%. Okay. And we're going to put in 120 months. Okay. 24,000 at 17.9. Let's go to Brett Whistle. Okay. And let's see, we said 24,000 at 17.9. All right. And we said 120 months. That's 10 years. Okay. Okay. Calculate that. Payment is $430. Okay. $430.90. So we'll go back to the program here. Oh, what was that again? 430.90. Okay. 430. 430.90. Okay. There we go. Now everything works out right. So we're going to save that. Okay. So now we're looking at I gotta make some changes in the budget. Okay. And so let me do the budget. And we are okay. These folks make a little bit more money than this. They make $2,400 and they make it bi-weekly. There we go. Save that. Okay. That's what they make. All right. That's what we're dealing with. That's what we're working with to pay back the IRS. All right. So let me show you how powerful this is. Let me show you how powerful this is. With the IRS debt in here at 17.9, we're looking at total interest paid. Well, let's take a look at everything that we've got to pay. We got to pay the auto loan. We got to pay the MasterCard. Okay, 5,000. We got this signature loan. We're going to call that the I.R.S. debt. In fact, let me change the name on this. Okay. Name. Okay. I.R.S. debt. Okay, so we changed the name on that. There we go. I.R.S. debt. That's how simple it is to change it in the program. So we got all of that in there. We've got a 30-year mortgage. We've got a credit card for $5,500. Do you know I know people with $5,000 and $10,000 credit cards that have been struggling to try to pay it off for 5 years? Let me show you something that's powerful about this. We got a 30-year mortgage. We got $5,000 credit card. We have a $24,000 I.R.S. debt at 17.9%, because that's kind of what we said was going to come out to when we take a look at the interest that the I.R.S. is charging plus the penalties. We kind of rounded it off to 17.9 here. All right. And then let's see, we've got, all right, so we got some other things. We got another bank loan here, okay, at 4.5%, $25,000. Okay, there we go. So let's go back to action plan and look at this. The amount of interest that we're going to save on this is $224,881 is the amount of interest we're going to save. But look, we're going to be done in 5.3 years. Okay, and this is the budget that we're using. Here's the budget that we're using. Okay, they make about $7,800 a month. Their bills come to $5,400, and because when you track how much money you're actually spending each month, you know about how much money you have left over. They have about $2,400 left over every month. And the program then says, okay, when you make your money, you pay your mortgage, you pay the I.R.S. what they're looking for, okay? And you put $941 in savings, okay? You get another paycheck here, all right? You buy some food, you buy some gas, all right? And then you put another $2,000 in savings, and you just pay minimum payments on everything in this first month. And we're starting in December, okay? In January, all right, we're just making minimum payments again. We're putting money in the bank. Well, Don, when is the program going to put money on debt? Well, we're starting in February. We're starting in December. But if we look up here, it says next transfer to debt, February 10, and it's $5,476. Look at that. This is money that you're saving up in your savings account, okay, in a separate bank that the I.R.S. doesn't know about, okay? They only know about the bank that you're making the payment from. Because remember, one account, one bank. One account, one bank, okay? So now, all right, so let's scroll down. We got December, January, and February. We're going to take a look, all right? Even though the I.R.S. debt is the way it is, the program says we're going to put that money on the credit card first, all right? Wait a few more days, and then we're going to put $2,730.17 on the I.R.S. debt on February 24, okay, of this year, and it's $2,730. And let me show you something. This is huge. I got to make this bigger. So you can see. Right? Boom, boom. All right, one more time. If we put $2,000 on the I.R.S. debt, okay, we make our regular payment and then takes money out of the savings account we were able to save up after all of our bills are paid. Look how much interest this saves. $9,579 in interest You don't have to pay the IRS because you put it in the P.I.L.L method system, and the P.I.L.L method told you to pay exactly $2,730.17. So Don, let me take a look at what's going on here. How much are we keeping in savings? Let's go in. Let's take a look and see. How much are we keeping in savings? Okay. John and Rebecca Jones are keeping $4,530 in savings that the program cannot touch. They're telling the program, I want to keep this much around. Okay. Can I show you something else that's very powerful that most people have no clue as what's going on? Did you know John and Rebecca Jones are still going on vacation? They still are spending money. Okay. Do you see? They're paying all their bills. They're paying all their bills right here. Okay. And they have an account called Everything Else. After paying all of their bills, they have an account called Everything Else, $2,135. Guess what they do with that account, Everything Else? They go on vacations. They do stuff with the family to build, because, you know, they got kids. Okay. Their kids are in ballet or violin lessons or private school, or so they're taking this money and making sure that little Johnny can go to travel baseball or soccer. Okay. They're not taking all of their money and throwing it at the debt. They are living a very good life while they're doing this. Look at that. $2,135 a month just on Everything Else. And they're still able to pay off the mortgage, the IRS debt, the credit card, and everything else in 5.3 years. Whew. Do you want Valerie Robinson says, yes. How would you like to be out of debt on everything in about 7 years, still be able to go on vacation, still have a good time with the family, pay off IRS, pay off the mortgage, pay off the credit cards, pay off the car loans, pay off everything, in this case, 5.3 years, with no sweat? And you don't need to make extra money. You're making the money that you have agreed, that you're already making. Okay. Now, what happens over the next 5 years when you get some raises in here? Doesn't this amount go down? Doesn't the amount of interest that you have go up? Listen, there's so much that we don't know about debt, ladies and gentlemen, that we need to know. Let me show you what happens if we find out how much interest we have remaining. Only $45,000 interest remaining on all of the debt, including their mortgage. You see, the bank wanted, and the IRS together wanted the $224,881 plus the $45,284. They wanted both of those, but they're not going to get this part. They're only going to get this part. Therefore, they're going to be able to be out of debt because of that in 5.3 years. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Do you know what we're going to be talking about on Wednesday? Do you know what we're going to be talking about on Wednesday? The world's first smart mortgage. AI system plugged in to your mortgage. Okay? We're going to be plugging that in. I want to show you what that looks like. Listen, go ahead and plug into that right now. Okay? Plug into that right now and see, there it is. AI powered mortgage. Look at that. AI powered mortgage. That's what we're going to be talking about on Wednesday. That's what's happening on Wednesday. Oh my goodness. Do you know? And then on Friday, what are we talking about on Friday? Okay. We got a new show coming up on Friday. You don't want to miss that either. Okay. We got Wednesday. So do you know there are people talking about never pay off a mortgage? Oh, we're going to bust those myths wide open. There are people on the internet right now telling you don't pay off your mortgage, take that money and invest it. I'm going to show you how you can pay off your mortgage and invest and make way more money than these guys are telling you don't pay off your mortgage ever. Come on. All right. But listen, don't miss next Sunday. Do not miss next Sunday. Oh my goodness. Do you absolutely hate going to the dealership? Do you hate going to the dealership to get a new car? All right. Can we put that back? Do you hate going to the dealership to get a new car? Next week, we're going to have somebody here that used to own a dealership, and they're going to teach you all the tips and tricks on auto dealership scams, on how you can go in and negotiate like your life depended on it. You need to sign up for those. I mean, you need to click on those and say, listen, I want to be here on Wednesday. Wednesday's a replay. Wednesday's not live. Wednesday's a replay. But next Friday and next Sunday are live. Okay? So you want to know how AI on Wednesday, how AI works with your debt and tells you exactly what to do and when to save you the most money. Getting out of debt is not about paying off fast. Getting out of debt is about paying off the cheapest way possible, paying the least amount of interest possible. And our AI system tells you exactly what to do. And it's like financial GPS. So let's look at that. Look at we call it the smart mortgage. Do you know you can plug a computer into your mortgage and other debt and make it smart, like your smart TV? Okay, like your smartphone. Now we have smart debt. I'm telling you, it is amazing. And don't forget about Friday and next Sunday. All right. Don't listen to those folks who are telling you not to pay off your mortgage. And oh my goodness, I'm going to listen. This is one of my the best subjects, because I love going into the car dealership with information where it puts me literally in the driver's seat. I know what's going on. I know the games you're playing. I know. And listen, and I don't know if you knew this or not, but when you're a client of the P.I.L.L method, did you know you can sign up for the service where our company will negotiate your new car for you if you don't want to do it? Even though you know we're going to teach you some of the tactics. We will negotiate your new car for you on three-way while you're sitting in the dealership. And as soon as my people start talking, they know that our people know what they're talking about, and they just have to back off of that. Okay. Last thing, I'm going to let you go. We had a client here in Huntsville where it was getting a Mercedes, and they were telling them the price is the price. The price is the price. We're not coming down on it. And the next dealership was like 200 or 300 miles away, and they thought they had a lock on it. I'm telling you, listen. We had our expert fly into Huntsville, negotiate this deal, and took off about $10,000 off that car, got it down to MSRP. Because they could, you know what? The dealership tried to hire our person. We'll tell you that story next Sunday. Oh my gosh. Listen, this person was so sharp. It was amazing. And listen, I loved all that. And then we put everything into the P.I.L.L method. In fact, we even took a higher interest rate for the car because it actually paid off faster at the higher interest rate than at the lower one. There's so much going on here, folks, that we just don't know, that we haven't been taught. But I want you to know that we want to teach you. Okay. We want you to have this information. So don't forget, get your savings and earnings report. Okay. Become an affiliate. All right. And get the book. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Click the like buttons and go ahead, make sure you comment and share this with other people. All right. Become an affiliate, share this, and get paid. All right. Well, I'm out of here today. I want to thank you all for being here. I've got a video that features me. This is the one we're going to go out on, but be ready for Wednesday's show is already up. So go ahead and click on that. We're going to add in later on Friday's and Sunday's show so that you'll be here. All right. So don't forget about that. Valerie says, I will be here. My son wants to get a new car this year. Oh, you don't want to miss next Sunday then, Valerie, because this next Sunday is going to be off the chain for real. All right. All right, folks. See you next week. Bye-bye. How many want to know how to pay off all of your debt in an average of 7 to 9 years? You can do all of this without refinancing, without change to your budget, without sacrificing lifestyle.
Me and my husband do the P.I.L.L method, and last year we were able to pay down $33,000 on our mortgage without feeling like we were poor. We still did tons of entertaining things and enjoyed our family.
You don't have to eat beans and rice every day. You don't have to cut up your credit cards. You don't have to drive a 30-year-old car. You don't have to sell pizzas at night to pay off your mortgage. All you need to do is pay the bank less interest. That's what we're talking about today. Here is what P.I.L.L method stands for: prepayment of principal, isolation of principal amounts, leverage, and liquidity. You understand it? You have a way of getting out of debt more efficiently. The interest rate you're quoted is not the interest rate you pay. You think you're buying a $500,000 home. The true cost of that home is what? $758,000. Total interest paid as a percentage of principal, 51.777%. That's what's going on with this loan. The ability to read and defeat an amortization schedule is not taught at any level of financial education. I need you to understand the power of a penny. You will not hear what I'm talking about from Dave Ramsey. Do you know why? Because I own the copyright. I literally wrote the book.
But Don has some valuable information that can contribute to the quality of a person's life. And it only costs you a few dollars. It's his book. Why not get that?
I'm going to go through the P.I.L.L method myself with some of my investment properties. So I'm going to link up with Don, and then I'm going to sit down with him, show him my investment portfolio, and see how I can eliminate interest.